The wait of 60 years. There is a vehicle that most people in this country have never seen in person. Not because it is rare in the way a supercar is rare produced in small numbers for maximum publicity, but because it was never meant for the public at all. For 60 years, it moved through the streets of Toyota without advertisement, without celebrity endorsement, without a single press release directed at ordinary consumers. It carried emperors, prime ministers, the architects of the most consequential boardroom decisions in modern Asia. It was not sold, it was allocated, and the people who received it did not discuss it. This is the Toyota century, and in 2027, Toyota did something that no one in Detroit, Stuttgart, or Mayfair anticipated. They rebuilt it as a full-size SUV and aimed it directly at the most competitive luxury segment in the American market. The question is not whether it can compete. The question is whether the competition even understands what kind of vehicle just entered the room. The 2027 Toyota Land Cruiser Century does not arrive with drama. It does not arrive with noise. It arrives the way serious things always arrive, quietly, completely, and with the kind of certainty that comes from not needing anyone's approval. Stand in front of it. Do not rush past the proportions. The front face of the Land Cruiser Century is tall, wide, and completely formal. An architectural decision, not a styling exercise. The grille runs from the top of the fascia to the lower bumper in vertical columns of polished chrome. Each element spaced with the kind of precision that exists not to be measured but to be felt. This is not a grille designed to look aggressive or athletic. It is designed to look official. There is a profound difference between those two things, and Toyota understood it precisely while the rest of the segment is still trying to decide whether their cars should look like fighter jets or boardrooms. The hood rises in a long, controlled arc before meeting the grille at a point of formal authority. On the gloss black center panel, the Toyota emblem sits elevated on a standing finial, the same treatment carried by the sedan. Since its introduction in 1967, the headlamps flanked the grille in tightly stacked clusters, clean and composed, illuminating the road ahead without announcing themselves in white pearl with a two-tone black roof. The silhouette reads like a state car that decided one morning to become something larger, something that could carry more people. Something that could move through more landscapes without surrendering a single gram of its dignity in the process. Most luxury SUVs try to intimidate the road. This one presides over it. The side profile is a study in uninterrupted surface. The body panels hold their line from the front wheel arch to the rear quarter with a kind of quiet confidence that only comes from knowing there is nothing to prove. Multi-spoke alloy wheels fill the arches completely. Their intricate face pattern refined enough for a formal vehicle, substantial enough to remind you what they are carrying. The two-tone black roof cap separates the glass house from the body with the precision of a signature rather than an afterthought. The cabin that calms open the door. The sound it makes closing behind you is the first thing you will notice. Not the leather, not the wood, not the ambient light tracing the door cards in a controlled, warm glow. The sound, a solid, engineered, perfectly dampened seal that removes the outside world. In one motion, you are now in a different kind of space. The interior of the Land Cruiser Century does not try to impress you. This is its most important quality. And in 2027, it is genuinely rare. The Cadillac Escalade impresses you with scale. The Lincoln Navigator impresses you with materials. The Range Rover impresses you with design vocabulary. Every European ultra-luxury SUV impresses you with excess crystal decanters, embroidered headrests, starlight headliners, diamond-quilted leather on every surface, including the ceiling. The Century removes all of that and leaves only what actually matters. The interior does not try to impress you. It tries to calm you in 2027. That is the rarest thing a luxury vehicle can do. Ivory leather covers every seating surface in a deep diamond quilt that is more restrained than it sounds, each diamond pressed rather than stitched proud. Giving texture without drawing attention to itself, figured walnut trim panels trace the door architecture and the center console in a warm, dark grain that reads as furniture rather than automotive decoration. The floor is deep wool carpet thick enough to absorb the ambient hum of the hybrid drivetrain, to a level that requires you to check whether the engine is running. It is you simply cannot hear it. The rear cabin is the argument. Two executive seats recline independently with integrated footrests that extend from beneath the front seat. Backs, a center console rises between them, holding the climate controls and a fold-that working table in veneered walnut. The panoramic roof floods the space with light. Without compromising privacy, the rear windows are deep-tinted, wide, and framed so precisely that what you see through them appears curated a moving composition rather than a passing view. This is cabin-built to be occupied at the highest level, to host decisions to grant the person sitting in it the one resource that money cannot directly purchase. The mental clarity that comes from sitting somewhere completely still while moving through the world at speed, what trust actually costs. The driver sits forward of all of this in a position that carries the Land Cruiser's 70-year capability legacy. Without a word, the seating position is commanding, not artificially elevated as a styling statement, but genuinely high, granting the driver a complete picture of the road ahead and the vehicle's position within it. The steering wheel carries the Century emblem at its center. The instrument cluster presents speed navigation and range in a clear, uncluttered layout, designed to be read in a glance rather than studied. The infotainment display integrates into the dashboard architecture rather than protruding from it. This is a distinction that sounds minor until you have spent time in the vehicles that got it wrong. The drivetrain is a multi-stage hybrid system, producing power that is neither theatrical nor modest. It delivers momentum the way the best executive vehicles deliver, all things consistently, without announcement, on every road in every condition for as many miles as required. There is no drama in the power delivery, because there was no drama required. The Land Cruiser Century is not trying to be fast, it is trying to be certain. These are not the same objective, and Toyota understood the difference. Before the brief was written, the question was never whether this vehicle is expensive enough. The question is whether you have ever owned something you could genuinely trust in the American market. The 2027 Toyota Land Cruiser Century positions between €115 and $145 in full executive specification. At that number, it sits above the Lincoln Navigator and adjacent to the Range Rover. What it offers in exchange is not more content. It is not a longer equipment list or a more elaborate ambient lighting system. What it offers is the one thing that the American luxury SUV market has been selling around, rather than delivering a documented, proven, inherited certainty that this vehicle will still be exactly what it is today in 10 years, in 15 years, in 200,000 miles. That certainty is not a marketing claim. It is a 70-year engineering record that no competitor in this segment can replicate, regardless of their price point or their heritage branding. The rear view that changes everything. Step back and look at the rear of this vehicle from across the road. There is something the Land Cruiser Century does from this angle that the Escalade, despite all its dimensions, all its presence, all its decades of American cultural weight, has never quite managed. When someone sees the Escalade sitting outside a building, they know immediately what it is. They have a complete picture of it before they look. The Century gives them something different. It gives them a question: who is sitting in the back of that vehicle? Not what vehicle is that, but who is it carrying? The horizontal tail lamp graphic stretches the full width of the tailgate in a single continuous illuminated line, emphasizing the vehicle's stance without drama. The Toyota badge sits centered in chrome, not apologizing, not hiding. Wearing that badge on a vehicle at this price point, with complete assurance below the exhaust outlets are properly proportioned, properly integrated, communicating in their placement and their finish, that underneath all the silence and the leather and the deep pile carpet, there is a real drivetrain doing real work. Not theatrical work, real work. That rear view wide, planted formal carrying its badge without qualification is the summary of everything Toyota has chosen to do with the Century name in 2027. They took 60 years of private excellence, the most trust, laid a nameplate in Japanese automotive history, and put it on a body that America actually wants. They did not compromise the nameplate to fit the format. They elevated the format to honor the name. This is what happens when 70 years of engineering discipline meets the decision that the world is ready to see what was always there. The 2027 Toyota Land Cruiser Century does not need your validation. It has been building toward this moment quietly, precisely, and without interruption for longer than most of its competitors have existed. It is here now. The segment has been changed. Whether the segment understands that yet is frankly not the century's concern.